Let's bring in Mike Pompeo now, former Secretary of State and a Fox News contributor. Really looking forward to having you on today. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being here. We're throwing around names of gangs in this country like it's normal now. Tren de Aragua, TDA. We've got, when did it become normal to have the largest criminal organization in Venezuela running around in our most populous cities? I go back to the first time we identified this gang on the ground in the U.S. was Chicago last year, right? Now we know New York, Dallas, Denver. What's next?
Sandra, John, it's great to be with you. This is another bungled mess by Vice President Harris and the Biden administration. They've known for the entirety of their time that we have a wide open southern border. They have lied to the American people saying the American border is secure. That's just patently false. You can see the video. Believe your own eyes. And now we see the results. We see the results of a failed relationship with the Mexican government. We see the results of these Venezuelan criminals running amok in control of apartment buildings all across the United States of America. And the risk of terror, the risk when 500,000 people, that's the size of my hometown of Wichita, Kansas, when 500,000 people come across the border in the course of 3 years, and you have no idea who they are, and you know they came from an authoritarian state like the nation of Venezuela, that is highly risky. This will end very badly, and Vice President Harris is personally responsible for this failed set of policies.
You know, it's interesting you just said that. In my investigation of this gang and comparing it to some of the other gangs that we've reported on over the years and spoken to you about along the way, obviously MS-13 and others, something that's different about this gang is that they're not covered in tattoos. May seem minor at first, but, when we reported on the MS-13 gangs, they were very identifiable, right? They all had specific tattoos to identify them. That's different with this gang, right? We're noticing that's not part of their membership. What else can you tell us about who these guys are?
So these groups are armed. They are deeply tied to the Maduro regime, indeed, in some cases, acting on its behalf. They have the capacity to have real wealth. That is, there's money flowing into Venezuela and then to these criminal organizations that are conducting exactly what we think about terror and jihadis and cartels as separate threats. They're acting exactly like terror jihadi organizations act when they infiltrate countries like ours. And you're right, their physical manifestations on the ground are very different than we saw with MS-13 and some of the other gangs. It's going to be a bear to find these folks. It is going to be even harder to deport them. And so the fact that we failed to stop them at our front gate, to stop them at the border, and we have allowed them in, and now, as you described, have provided protections for some of these immigrants who have come here unlawfully with legal protection, TPS, protected status for them, is just absolutely nuts, Sandra. And it is highly risky for whether it's drugs or weapons or crime or terrorizing citizens in our biggest cities. This is something that the next administration is going to have to deal with. And if Vice President Harris is in charge, this will get dramatically worse over the next 4 years.
And you'd be remiss to say, oh, well, I don't live in one of these cities that is welcoming in these huge sums of migrants, like case in point, Denver, which does designate itself a sanctuary city that did say all are welcome and welcomed in a lot of these migrants. Aurora's next door and doesn't have share the same politics. And the mayor joined us and basically said, this is the result of that spilling over into Aurora. This was the mayor earlier. Listen.
Denver's historically been a sanctuary city.
Yeah.
Aurora has not. And that's why we took the position again that we were not going to expend any public dollars on this migrant crisis. We did everything we could to quite frankly, keep them out of the city because it's not our problem. This is a federal problem. Somehow we got sucked into this and we are a victim.
Yeah, because guess what? They're right next door. And so this greatly affects them and all of their residents. Now to the politics of the moment. Okay, Mr. Secretary, I think we've got some breaking news. We'll have you back on soon. Mr. Secretary, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate your time today, sir.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. All right.